America in the 50s really it was very personal because at that time, everybody was trying to pick up their lives after World War II. So, and a lot of lives had been interrupted for 4 or 5 years. So a lot of the focus was on getting started economically, living separately from your parents, developing your own roots. So it took a long time for that to happen because people who had to start were interrupted usually after college or during college, and they had to start again. And lots of times, like myself, when my husband came home from service, he already had a 2-year-old child. So it was very hard to start off and support a family right away. And plus the fact that we lived in New York City, in Manhattan, and there were no apartments. So you had to live with your parents for a couple of years. And then when I moved to suburbia, it was like moving 1,000 miles away. My grandmother cried, it was like I was leaving the nest because my family and I moved to Levittown, and at that time it was looked upon as being a long way from Manhattan. And the suburbs were available. And then Levittown became available to all ex-servicemen. And the rent was $60 a month, and it was there. And it was a little house, and it belonged to you, and you weren't living with your parents any longer. So it was exciting and scary. Living in an apartment was like living in a small community that goes upwards. You knew everybody on 6 floors. So going to Levittown was not what I had expected to do. And all it was, like, I forget who, not Woody Guthrie, one of his disciples, who was Pete Seeger, his little boxes. But it really wasn't little boxes. It looked like it, but everybody who moved there in their own way was very individual. But there was it was different in the fact that the median age at that time was like 28. There were no older people. That was it. Everybody there had a young family. So you became very close, and you found a new extended family out there. And that's what made it was difficult, because a lot of us moved out there without cars. So we would find the one family on a block who had a car, and everybody would hitch a ride to the railroad station. There was no place to shop. You had to take a bus for shopping. You felt somewhat like a pioneer. When I lived in the suburbs, I suppose I didn't have big dreams. I didn't have immediate dreams. I thought that I had the kind of dreams that I think existed, like in the movies. You get married, you get a job, you get raises, and then you move to a bigger house, and things change. What was great about it is that we lived alone. The children, in many ways, at that time, had a lot of independence, because you could let them out of a house. You lived in a little block, and there wasn't much traffic. And you became your own family group. It wasn't the suburbs. It was mostly that you were your own family starting out, separating from your parents.